So Lance Armstrong, I don't know if you heard about this. Lance Armstrong, I guess, was using performance-enhancing drugs. This is news to me and the rest of the world, I think, right? You had no idea that this was going on. Hang on, because I've got if we can get this thing to play. Great compilation of Lance Armstrong denying any drug usage, which just makes me giggle. What is going on here, guys?
Of all his lives.
Is there evidence?
There we go.
Where's evidence of doping here?
He insists he's never tested positive.
I said where I was 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
I have the facts on my side. Explain to me how we pass so many tests if we're so dirty.
We've opened ourselves up for investigation. We've opened ourselves up for inquiries. And our average, our batting average in all of them is 1,000.
Listen, I've said it for 7 years. I've said it for longer than 7 years. I have never doped. What they've done is they've written, as I said, they've written the conclusion, and then they've tried to fill in the rest with a house of cards and with...
Didn't you want to believe him, though? I mean, wasn't that... I did. I wanted to believe him.
Speculation with innuendo.
Yeah, we got nothing to hide. We know that. Everybody knows that. We've proven time in and time out that we're clean. And I can tell you that the controls today in cycling in 2004 are a hell of a lot more than they ever were before. I mean, I came out of a life-threatening disease. I was on my deathbed. Do you think I'm going to come back into a sport and say, okay, doctor, give me everything you got. I just want to go fast? No way.
Okay, here's the thing. Knowing what we know now about Lance Armstrong, knowing that he lied to us for so long, are you with me? Do you doubt that he even had cancer? Yes. In fact, Lance Armstrong claimed that he had testicular cancer. Drop him, Lance. I want to see if you really do just have one nut, or if that's part of a lie too. Show him. Turn your head and cough, my friend. Oh, caught in another lie. And now I see that the people are lining up. Lining up, hands out. Lawyers are excited. They got on their good jackets for all the different lawsuits they're filing. I've wanted to ask Pasha about this. AskPasha.com from Top Floor Legal. Hey, Pasha.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay, so we've got Lance Armstrong is now being sued by, like, everybody.
Yeah.
It appears, what is it? We talked a little bit about this with Jim Charvet yesterday, too. SCA Promotions is a Dallas company that indemnifies sponsors against sports figures who do the impossible. And they're suing Lance Armstrong for $12 million. Australia is suing Lance Armstrong for an appearance fee that they paid him. There's a British newspaper that's owned by Fox News. The Sunday Times is all owned by News Corp. They're suing him $1.5 million from a libel settlement that they had. And then the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency could sue to recoup fees from their ongoing battles. And now, what is it? Did I just see the federal government jumped on another lawsuit too?
I think they're thinking about it. They're deciding on it. That you're referring to the whistleblower lawsuit that Floyd Landis brought.
Yeah. What is the whistleblower lawsuit? How does that work?
Yeah. So basically, his teammate Floyd Landis, he brought a lawsuit under the False Claims Act, and basically what he's saying is, I'm suing on behalf of the government because he defrauded the government, and we're referring to the USPS sponsorship of Lance Armstrong.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it was the Postal Service that sponsored him, so that's why the feds would get involved in this lawsuit.
Yeah, that's right.
Not necessarily because they're overseeing the anti-doping or athletics. Like, if we saw the federal government get involved in something in football or baseball, that's because of the arbitration, antitrust nonsense that they have that oversees those sports. But that's not what this is. This is different.
We're talking about fraud here, fraud against the government. And, you mentioned that lawyers are happy. I'll tell you, there's a lot of losers here, the fans, the sport, Lance Armstrong himself, but the winners are definitely the attorneys from this legal mess that he's created.
There's going to be a buttload of money exchange hands on this one, right?
No doubt, but I'll tell you this, though. I don't think Lance Armstrong is in as much trouble as people think.
How come?
Because, well, for example, there's criminal liability that people are talking about, perjury, the actual doping. And, yeah, he may get something for the doping itself, but I'm sure the attorneys, his team of lawyers, would not have let him make the statements he has. We haven't heard them yet to Oprah if there was some kind of criminal liability there. So we're talking about statute of limitations. I mean, the last time he raced was in 2009. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to fraud, things like that, in most states, fraud statute of limitations last up to 3 years. And a breach of a written contract, maybe 6 years, both way before 6 years ago, 2009.
So we could be dealing though with some of the international implications of this though, with Australia and then the British newspaper that are suing him though.
Yeah, those are different rules. Yeah, for example, so back with the British newspaper, he sued the British newspaper for defamation because they printed an article basically alleging that he doped.
Right.
Now, one of the defense of defamation is that it's true.
Right.
Now, in this case, though, he settled for, it was like for $500,000 that they had a settlement.
Okay.
Now, I think they have a weak case here, and I don't know the laws of England, but in this case, he didn't have any obligation to admit that he doped. This was a settlement contract agreement, and so they're alleging fraud here, but there was no fraud in the settlement agreement. They just settled the claim. So it's going to be pretty difficult in the United States if this kind of lawsuit was brought.
So if he'd have gone to court with them and then lied in court, that might have been a different case, but this was a settlement.
No, that's right. I mean, if you settle for any personal injury claim for a car accident and you find out that someone lied, it's going to be very difficult to reopen that unless there's some kind of fraud in the actual inducement of the settlement agreement itself.
Okay. What about the endorsement stuff? When people pay him for, I'm sorry, not endorsements, but the appearance stuff, the appearance fees and whatnot, are they going to be able to recoup any of that? Or, I mean, he appeared, right? And that's what he was supposed to do.
Exactly. You're right. I mean, when you take a look at some of these endorsement contracts and so forth, we're going to rely upon the terms of the contract. Fraud's going to be tough to prove here. Now, when I write endorsement contracts for businesses, which it's very common, we put in what are called morals clauses in there. And what that is, basically, if the athlete or celebrity gets into some kind of public scandal, then the recourse is the business is allowed to terminate the contract and even pursue damages.
Okay.
But when it comes to fraud, again, it goes back to were these companies really harmed? Like, for example, the U.S. Postal Service or Nike, they reaped the benefits from the sponsorship while he was racing. And now that these facts have come out, is anyone blaming them for sponsoring them, or was their reputation damaged? I don't think so. And at the least, their damages are going to be limited in that case.
That's a good point. I'm still buying Forever stamps.